All right, so this right here where it says value, go ahead and write this on a page in your sketchbook so we know what hue, tint, and shade are. This little mini example you don't have to do, and so you're just going to watch this part.
So value is lightness and darkness. Usually it has to do with, like if you're drawing, how light or dark you are making your drawing material. So pressure has a lot to do with the value of your pencil mark. That can be the same for color pencils and crayons as well. When it comes to color, color can have different kinds of value properties. So the basic color is called a hue. So I see that I've painted a red hue. A color plus white is called a tint, which sounds kind of weird because usually the word tint kind of reminds you of like tinted sunglasses or window tint. That usually means dark, but for tint in art, it is a color plus white. So I'm mixing my red and my white, and my tint of red is pink. So if you ever wonder where pink goes in the color wheel, we're talking about it being a tint of red. Shade is a color plus black. So add a little bit of black to my color. It will make it darker, kind of like a dark deep red, and that will be a shade of red.
So for this part, let's follow along. You need one of your bigger pieces of paper, and we're going to make kind of a diagram to show value by making boxes.
So first what we're going to do is we're going to do a line of boxes. So easy way I find to do that is just to kind of draw a few lines with a straight edge. And you want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. Draw some straight edges down. And not to bore you, I'm going to pause the video, draw it, and show you the end result once it's completed. All right, now I have 3 rows. I left space above them because we are going to do something in those. And for me, the first row is going to be color pencil, the second row is going to be crayon, and the third row is going to be paint. So it really depends what materials you have. If you just have color pencils, you're just going to do 3 rows, each row being a different color. If you have different materials that are things you can shade with, so you can't really use markers, you could do like color pencil, crayon, pastels. If you have all 3 of them, maybe do like color pencil, another drawing material, and then paint. Okay, so you're gonna pick a medium to dark color, so I would not choose yellow. Basically any other color than yellow, I'm like light pink. On your middle first square, you're going to do a nice even kind of hard coloring of this square. So this is our hue square. This is the color of this color pencil. I'm going to make sure that it looks like it is its pure color. The next square over, you're going to use less pressure. So this way is going to be light, this way is going to be dark. And I want you to color in that square lighter with that color. Now we've created a different value. Now we don't really have to add anything to this if we just wanted to show the value. But if you want to, you can take a white color pencil and you can push really hard on top of this color and blend it a little more. That's actually called burnishing. And it's good to think of this as a tint, which is a color plus white. This one we're going to leave white because we want to show that's the lightest value in our what's called a color scale. Now you need a black color pencil for this side. For this box, we're going to take the black first and we are going to lightly color it gray. So it should be nice and even gray box. Once you have a nice even gray box, you're going to take your hue, for me it's my green, and then I'm going to press really hard on top of it to blend that grayish black color into my color. Now this is something we're going to do with color pencils because this is how we would blend color pencils. Now you can see just by adding the little like layer of gray, or sorry, light black kind of underneath of it, we've created a darker value. For this last one, we're going to do the same thing, just darker with the black. And then you're going to push the green on top of it to create a very dark value. It could almost be like pure black, but I like to add a little bit of green just so it has a little bit of the color. Okay, next we're going to do crayon. So as you guessed it, I need a black, I need a white, and I need a hue. So my hue is going to be this red-orange. Hue goes in the middle. Just like the color pencil. Push hard for the hue. For my tint, lighten it up. Try to fill the whole box nice and evenly. Press white on top of it. Burnish it, kind of blend it together. Leave that one white, or if you really want it, you can try a really, really light, super, super light color. You can do that with the other one too. Then for the shade, once again, lightly with the black crayon. Use the hue color again, the orange, blend it together, you get a shade of orange. And the last one, pretty dark with the black crayon. And then press the orange over it to make this very, very dark color. So in general, when you're doing a coloring medium, you put the darker color down first and then the lighter color on top of it to blend it. So on this side, it's usually the hue is the darker color and then the white goes on top. On this side, the black is the darker color and then the hue goes on top of that.
All right, for this last row, we can use your paints that are in the containers. When you do that, what I want you to do is you're going to only scoop out a tiny bit of each of the black, purple, and white onto a piece of paper or something to mix it on. So when you do that, I would scoop a tiny bit of white, like one brushful, and put it onto a surface. Wash your brush really well, close the white. Scoop a little bit of purple, put it on the surface next to it, wash your brush really well, close the purple. Black, after you wash your brush, scoop a tiny bit of black, put it on the surface, close the container. So put those containers back for our main project when you're done, but if you want to use the color, the hue, the purple, a tiny bit of white, and a tiny bit of black for this mini project, you can do that. So you can see how much I put there, and I'm actually using a magazine because that's a good surface to mix on. But yeah, like I said, if you use the paints that are in little containers, make sure that they don't get mixed up. Make sure you're only using a tiny bit and you're scooping it somewhere else so that those paint containers can be used again, and make sure you close them back up. All right, so in a minute, the last row, the first thing we're going to do is take just the purple. Mine's a little pinkish, but you're going to take just the purple and you're going to paint that middle box just purple. That's going to be the hue. We're not going to mix anything in it yet.
So we will start like normal. You'll take the hue, the basic color without anything in it, and you'll paint your middle square. And I flipped over my sketchbooks. Remember, this way is going to be dark and this way is going to be light. Okay, go ahead and wash your brush and rinse it off. For the tints, we're going to start on this side and then go this way. So I'm actually going to separate some of my white. The first thing we're going to do is take a dot of the color of the hue and mix it into the white. Mix it so much that there is no streaks. It should just be one solid color. And see, I'm kind of like circling around the middle so it doesn't get all spread out and dry. That's going to be my lightest tint, super light pink. After that, I'm going to wash my brush And I'm going to add a lot more of the red into this. That may have actually been too much. Yep, that was too much. So I'm only going to use this side. And I should get a color that's kind of in between. So with paint, you want to add the darker color to the lighter color in steps, so that way it doesn't get dark too fast. If I just try to put a ton of white into my hue color, it would take too much white and, well, it would waste a lot of white. For my shade, we're going to add the dark into the paint. So I'm going to add a dot of dark into the actual hue color. That got dark really fast. Ooh, that's really dark. That's okay. Almost turned into like a purpley color. And I'm just going to go ahead and just scoop another glob of the black into my paint. And it is almost black. It is almost pure black. That's okay. We wanted it to get darker. So when you're mixing paint, it's kind of a balance of how far you go. If your pile is getting too dark, you can always scoop it out, put it somewhere else, and try to mix a smaller batch of whatever you're doing to try to get the right color. But for your values, you want the hue, lighter, lightest, hue, darker, darkest.
Now, usually value scales or value charts end up just like this. But what I want you guys to do is be inspired by spring. So I want each of these squares to turn into a pot for a plant. So look outside, look around. You can find pictures of plants on the internet, or you can come up with ones from your imagination. But from each of these boxes, I want you to grow a different plant. So be creative with the designs. They don't have to be real plants. You can use some of mine as examples, but create a garden.